What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? I'm back here with another video, and today we are watching. But we're also breaking down slash giving the big plays for the Ravens and Steelers game. I'm going to talk about a lot of the things that went right and wrong for a lot of these teams. And I'm going to talk about a lot of the mistakes some of these teams made, especially the Ravens in the 2-minute drill, because even though that touchdown, by the way, I've seen that touchdown now, and I kind of understand why they called it, and I think I'm going to try to bring that insight with you guys, why I think they called it a no catch. I still think it probably should have been a touchdown because the rule now is just different. And then at the end of this, I am going to talk about the race to the AFC North, seeing as how at the end of this game, Pittsburgh goes to 7-6, and Baltimore Ravens go to 8-7. So I really want to talk about that, seeing as how their next, both of them have similar problems going down the stretch to the ultimate goal of making the AFC North, which they are pretty much the only two in play. I mean, even if somehow, some way, Cincinnati snuck into the playoffs, they would need to beat Baltimore, which that's a must-win game. They would have to win out. They would have to win against Baltimore and then the rest of their games. And then they need Pittsburgh, or they need the Ravens to lose against Green Bay or New England to have the same record as them to then sneak into a spot. And they also would have to have a lot of stuff. But let's get right into this game. I'm going to be in and out of this picture here, but we're going to be kind of talking about how this game went. And mainly the highlight plays, we're going to come into this scenario right here. But the ball gets kicked off. Steelers, I believe, deferred. But these games are always fun as a Steelers fan. So, I mean, they're fun, they're annoying, they're irritating, and it's ridiculous. But the Ravens end up throwing on the first play of the game. Likely gets a huge chunk, which already shows you how much this defense does struggle a lot of times when it comes to this team. And they normally do early on. The Ravens then run it with Derrick Henry, who gets an easy, very easy first down. Keanu Benton does go down on this play, which was huge because Derek Harmon also went out and has missed. I think this is the second game miss, which is affecting the run game. If Harmon doesn't get hurt in that Bills game, they probably don't run all over us, but who knows? Because he has affected the run game really effectively. Henry really was the guy on this play. They ran it with him. He got another big chunk until TJ Watt said, nope, you're not doing that again. This happened a lot where it just the edge rushers got to the running back before the middle guys did. And you could tell that it was a big deal. This throw, controversial in many people's eyes, but a big throw to Flowers ended up being a first down. Obviously, they say it's a catch, and I think that this is debatable because if we're talking about catches, especially compared to the touchdown catch, this probably should have been it. He taps his toe. The ball does kind of wiggle here, in my opinion, especially here. That wiggles. And I know I don't have audio on, but Tony Romo says there's not wiggle. Watch this ball move right at the end. That ball moves a lot. So I don't know what he's talking about. But anyways, the Ravens kind of go down. They go down, they have a lot of big plays, and honestly, the best play right here by the Steelers defense was they stopped him, but right here, Eccles, showing why he's probably the fastest corner on this team, stays one-on-one with Flowers, and he gets a perfect, just stays with him, doesn't hold him, keeps his hand on him to make sure where he is. He goes back, looks at the ball, and he deflects it. Big game for him. Flowers has a good game too, but it was a big game for Eccles. So then they go and get these 2 points, which obviously were much needed because this team stinks, right? So they get the field goal, and then they got a good starting chance by the Steelers. The Steelers, not known for throwing deep balls in November, that changes here in December with a huge bomb to DK Metcalf. And DK Metcalf, man, dog. That was a beautiful catch, and it was a beautiful throw. And just having Aaron Rodgers throw a big ball like that was just big time. Then they threw another one straight to Metcalf, and they really tried to feed Metcalf in this game. I don't know if that was the game plan, that they just wanted to see what he could do, or if that was just a plan, feed DK and then just see if these other receivers could start making things happen to make him even more open. They go for a little run play here. Running the ball was not the greatest thing for the Pittsburgh Steelers in this game. I don't know what it was. They just could not get the separation that they're used to, which I think really affected the Steelers team in trying to make something happen. 3rd and 1, same thing. They try to go for a fade to DK. This one I think is just a perfect play by Humphrey, because if they show the replay, I don't think this is the replay I need. But if he doesn't get that hand up there, that's a completed pass. And then they go on 4th down. They push him all the way over. Connor Hayward gets the first down. And then that leads to a few things. Aaron Rodgers tried to go for the little pass here, tried to go back to DK. It doesn't work. They wanted a holding call. Then this play right here, Gainwell gets stopped short. Then this fooled me. I literally said, because Warren goes down right away here. But he keeps the ball, fools everybody, and then this is his Bears game, does the little championship, and Aaron Rodgers, and then obviously, of course, the extra point was good. So then the Ravens start their next drive. They don't really get a lot going here. They run on 1st down. There was a little pressure by TJ, so he just runs, slides. There was a little confusion. I think that since Hayward didn't hear a whistle, that he didn't count the give up. Watt and the Steelers defense stops Henry again before he can get going. And then the 3rd down that changed everything. Eccles comes in, blitzes number 77, one of the worst offensive linemen in the league. Misses the small corner in Eccles, and he gets a sack, and that ends that drive before it even starts. Which he really did look amazing. The Steelers then go on their next drive. They don't really get a lot going. They end up punting the ball away. It was a pretty good dang punt. And then the Ravens tried to start running the ball again. They started to get it going. Lamar started to run a lot, and I feel like he doesn't run a lot against Pittsburgh. And he finally started to do it in this game. I don't know if he just started to finally feel comfortable or what, but I felt like the more and more, like, he doesn't usually run against the Steelers, and I've noticed that in his career that we watch him every single week, but he just doesn't run as much. They really didn't get anything going on that play, on that drive, so they ended up just punting it away to Calvin Austin, and then they just started recycling through different receivers, which really helped Pittsburgh going down the line. They have a lot of talented running backs that are pass catchers, as you can see here, where Aaron Rodgers looks for a check down, gets it to Gainwell, and he gets a first down, which he has been really good at. And the fact that this dude's so young is actually really ridiculous. 1st and 10, Steelers drop back. Aaron throws again, but it goes nowhere. There was flag for false start, which is kind of rough. Big play here. Aaron Rodgers gives it to Washington, gets a big chunk on that 2nd and 15 back, gets concussed. A lot of Steelers went out. And then here was another controversial catch, a throw and a catch there by the receiver DK. And actually, I think I missed it. There was a throw to Calvin Austin that was similar to the Flowers play, where it just looked like he caught it, but he actually ended up not. The ball ended up going out, and the Pittsburgh Steelers had to throw because it was on 3rd down, or had to punt, so that they had to do that. And this was controversial because when you really look at it, DK looks like he catches it, and I do think it's an interesting one because it looks like, the ball moves. The ball moves, so it's like, it's a little iffy. But, I mean, if the ball moved in the other one and you called it a catch, then I guess you should call this one a catch, right? So they already hurried. That was the play they ran right after. Then penalties started to really hurt the Ravens, especially on D. They kept drives going. The Steelers ended up getting stopped in the red zone, so they went for a kick. Boswell gets it. So then ends up going, Ravens again. Flowers was their best player by far. He is so goddamn quick, and like they definitely use his elusiveness, but I do think that's sometimes his weakness, where I feel like he just gets used in weird situations. Lamar was getting out of the pocket under pressures, but he throws and then a pick. One of the first big mistakes for the Ravens in this game that ultimately checks one of the boxes when the Steelers beat the Ravens. Games like this where if you win because you win the turnover battle. And this was a must win for the Steelers and for the Ravens. Like, you can't lose this game. Ravens ended up throwing a pick, and that cost the Ravens big time, because then the Steelers had the ball and immediately cashed in. Or did they? 2nd and 9, Aaron Rodgers had some trouble, obviously, after the 1-yard run. They throw it to Ben Skoranek, and then he gets a first down. First downs in the second quarter, the Steelers were in the lead, which is actually very rare. DK gets a little screen pass that actually gets a lot, and it's kind of bobbled it, which maybe affected him to get it a lot more. Another pass to Adam Thielen, the new Pittsburgh Steeler. 3rd and 2, and then they don't run. They throw it to DK. A little hold, in my opinion, but they don't call it. Now the big play, the field goal. Now talk about potentially killing your team. They might have not gone a flag there, and heck, maybe this is a makeup call, but the field goal was made. But wait a minute, Boswell's pointing into the other direction, and there was a personal foul. And a lot of people were debating on whether or not this should have also been called. I don't think they show you the replay, but they kind of rush them. But that doesn't matter, because Spencer Anderson goes in motion. They give it off to Gainwell, who beats Wiggins and everybody else for the touchdown to go to 16-3. The extra point would make it 17-3. And Gainwell has been, in my opinion, one of the best second wide receivers. I could understand why the Pittsburgh Steelers brought him in, and I could understand why he was super successful in backing up Saquon in Philadelphia. He did kick. Boswell would kind of give them a little bit of a break, because he kicked it short of the landing zone, and that started their drive off from the 40-yard line, which started really poorly. A short yard run. Then they gave it to Henry again. Henry said, "I got you, boys." He runs again, and then one of the Steelers' middle linebackers also get concussed, just like Darnell Washington earlier. And the Steelers just could not stop anything on this drive. And one thing that really hurt the Steelers was the penalties. There was a time where they had them short with, I think it was like third and 1. Maybe it was like 3rd and 2. And at the end of the day, Highsmith put his hand down, went over the neutral zone, and he ultimately cost the Steelers. Actually, I think it was this play, 3rd and 3. Let me see. Yeah, right here, puts his hand down, kind of goes forward. I think this one's weak. He really doesn't look like he goes over. So I think that the Steelers kind of got, kind of screwed there. I don't think that was that big of a call. Another 3rd and 8 gets stopped, but there was a play, a holding on Joey Porter Jr., which there was a few of those that kept drives alive. But, that's going to happen with the Steelers and him. But at the end of the day, they do what they do. But Bateman got the first down. It's 2nd and goal, and the goal line was rough. They tried to run it with Henry. Henry really doesn't get far. He gets maybe a yard out of it, so now it's 2nd and goal. A throw out to Andrews. They want a flag. Nobody called it. 21 seconds left. Now it's 3rd and goal. 3rd and goal. Ravens, nobody's spying on, no one's spying, and that was really the kicker that ended up helping Baltimore get on the board. Now, everyone's excited. They did exactly what they needed to do, which was score before the half ended. However, one of the other things that tends to happen, kickers missing extra points, and they went for an extra point. The wind pushes it away. And now, instead of it being a 7-point game, you now make it an 8-point game. So, they didn't do much in the second half. Steelers get the ball to start off the first they get the ball to start off the third quarter. So, unfortunately, they get some help again by the kicker for the Ravens. The kick is up, but it goes out of bounds. And once again, I don't know if the wind is a factor in this or not, but it's out of bounds. And that really screwed them up because now Pittsburgh is going to get the ball at the 40-yard line, and that is what you don't want if you are the Baltimore Ravens. And they immediately take advantage, just like the first play in the last half. Aaron Rodgers holds on to it, no flags, throws to DK, and he beats the rookie Starks and Humphrey and gets a big chunk of that back. The Steelers then went down the field, continued to really play relatively good football, and I believe they ended up with some points. They ended up with 3 points. And then Baltimore finally started to wake up on the offense. They run the ball a lot here, and it starts to work. They realize that a lot of the Steelers corners and the linebackers and D tackles are getting hurt. They know that they have an opportunity here, and a 3rd and 1 play ends up being a huge one. He flips the field, and if it wasn't for the man who got the pick, that would have been a touchdown. Pierre ended up getting the tackle here, getting a little banged up on the play. But actually, I think he ended up walking away from this. So then the Ravens are like, now we're back in this thing. And the Steelers have been known for leading in the first half, but then they end up losing. Henry gets freaking flipped over. And when I saw this in person, or when I saw this live, I said, holy, because I was not expecting his legs to go up in the air. But then a wildcat formation, TJ Watt stops him along with Peppers and Black. Then 3rd and goal again. You'll see TJ drop back. Queen is the spy, but unfortunately Ramsey is unlikely and likely ends up with the touchdown. Now, a lot of people were wondering if they were going to go for 2. They did not. They went for the extra point to make it 16-20. Steelers started off kind of bad. Multiple times where flags kept affecting their drive, where it was a holding call, and that brought them back even deeper. And 2nd and 17, and Aaron Rodgers finds his man, throws to DK, who they just were on a connection. I think he had 7 receptions. So now it's a more manageable 3rd down, which past years for the Steelers, a 2nd and 12 or 17 would affect a drive. A big throw here. I have not seen the view of who was the safeties and if the safeties were back here, because I 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I don't know where 9, 10 is, right? So I don't even know where the other guys are. They must have been deep just to make sure. I have no clue. But this catch by Calvin Austin was amazing. Kind of getting on the back burner when it comes down to work. This drive then continues. They dump it off to the running back, who gets a lot of the work done and does an amazing job. Warren, who had a really decent day, even though they didn't run. Then this play right here, over to Warren, and this play really just becomes a what are the Ravens doing? On 3rd and 4, they tried to pressure, and they screw this up big time. And we're going to show this play real quick. Let me know if you guys saw it in fast. You're going to see the safety, they're going to see the safety. He's going to be the one that ends up blitzing down. If this pass rusher doesn't drop back and he kind of just stays on Freiermuth, that should have been the plan. Because what really kills them too is that you have 2 receivers over here and you got a corner, and a safety. So now Freiermuth ends up open right here. And I think the only reason why Freiermuth doesn't get this ball is because of number 12 right here. Aaron sees these 2 guys here. He knows that if he throws this high and Freiermuth doesn't get it or see it, this is a play dead. Now they have to kick a field goal or they have to punt. Why do that when you have the clear open running back while this DB is on him? Calvin's double covered and DK's going up the middle. He goes to Warren right up the middle, and he just had open space. I would have rather seen Scantling try to make a block on Wiggins. That was one of my only critiques about Scantling today. But I think the veteranness between Scantling and Thielen helped DK get open, because I don't think they respect Austin as much as they would with Thielen, because they know what Thielen has done in his career and that he could get open still. I know he's an older guy, and a lot of people are going to mention that, like he's an older dude, but I do think that he still plays at a high level. The Ravens go downfield with a mixture between Lamar runs and just the running backs actually starting to get worked in. There is a play here somewhere, and I don't know where. It might be in the start of the fourth quarter, where Bateman drops an open pass, and it might be here. But Ali thought he had a touchdown. A lot of the fans got mad about this. They're like, he had an open touchdown. He got touchdown screwed. And it's funny because in the stadium, all the Ravens fans, or even the Ravens players, are like, what the hell? What the hell? This dude's elbow's down, and they were like, no, his knee didn't touch, so he's good. So Bateman actually does a really good play here. If you guys don't see Bateman in the start of this play, Bateman's right here. And likely ends up getting kind of double team or getting blocked by Highsmith. Bateman goes right behind TJ, because now TJ's focus is on the tight end. And now Highsmith is going to Bateman. Bad mismatch. That's why Porter's running to go get assistance. Stepped up in the pocket and check off another box for how a Steelers win. Not only special teams mess up, not only a turnover, but now a fucking Bateman drop. There's been many Steelers wins where if you go back, this man has dropped crucial touchdowns, including, I believe, last year in the end zone. So Bateman has his worst drops against Pittsburgh. Luckily for them, they get 3 points on this drive at least. So now it's a one-score game. So now this game just kind of becomes a little iffy. Steelers really start to slow down here. I feel like I don't know if they're just confident or what. They get a lot of penalties, a mixture of penalties. They end up putting away. They get the ball. The Ravens get the ball with a huge play again by Flowers. This literally flipping the field. Just a beautiful play here. Bateman, I mean, hell, that ball probably could have gone to him too, but that would have been a tougher throw. But they flip the field, and now all of a sudden, everyone's saying Baltimore is about to get this and make this a game. So now they continue to run the ball, which works and works and works. They keep getting these first downs, but they're draining a lot of clock. Ali tries to get a run, goes short. They continue to go. Flowers in motion. It was 2nd and 8. 7 minutes left. Blitz coming, pressure, and he throws it away. That happened a lot where there was pressure coming, but he throws the ball short, which I guess is good because you don't want to lose yardage. 3rd and 8, there was pressure, and once again, he throws away, which I think is crucial. So now they have to go for 3. They have to settle for 3 points. So they kick the field goal, and the kick is good. 22-27. So now this is the part of the game where it really does get messy. The kickoff goes, Gainwell gets to about the 40-yard line, which was a really good return for him and the Steelers to set up shop. So then it's 2nd down. Everyone's like, all right, cool. A throw here, short. Everyone's like, ooh, okay, that's a little rough, you know. And now this was one of the most controversial plays. They won't show the replay, but they do say under review, and, you know, When you watch the replay, you can understand there is a still image of where you could see that that the knees are down and that technically Aaron still has possession, which means he's down, which now makes this ball go all the way backwards. At the end of the day, I think that Aaron will now know that probably just wants to smack this down. You know, who knows? Maybe they would have, depending on if he grabbed it and threw it. But I think he definitely should have grabbed it, thrown it down instead of trying to, catch it. I think that he should have just worried about grabbing it, throwing it down. But at the end of the day, I think we also have to consider that he has a broken hand, and I think that he just wanted to get as much stability on that ball as possible where he could just try to grab it, bring it down, and see what happens. There's a reason why he went to his knees. He's a veteran player, so he knows what he's doing. And I understand why Ravens fans feel like they got screwed on that, but I personally do believe that like, when I saw his knees down, I was like, okay, there's a chance that this is good. And I get it. His knees are down, and that ball gets ripped out. But that's the problem when it comes to these scrums. Like, it's so difficult. So the Ravens now have a 5-minute, basically 6-minute drive to continue rolling. And then they run the ball and get a amazing run by Derrick Henry, which basically gives them 20 yards. Just a beautiful run by Henry, who really, it's funny, he didn't have a bad day, but he didn't have a great day, It's just like, I think when everyone thinks about the playoff game and how just dominant he was, and hell, even like the second game that they played in Baltimore that season, he just dominated. So I think a lot of people were kind of confused on why he wasn't doing as great. He gets another big chunk of yardage. So like, I kind of want to just skip all the way to the end of the drive where they get a lot of throws, this being one of them. But right down the middle happens a lot with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and especially with some of their best safeties out, which I think is another big factor. Like Elliott is out, Duggar's out. So they run the ball again. 1st and 10. They run the ball. Nope. Throw. Caught. Touchdown. It's knocked down. Now let's talk about why I believe that they called this an incompletion. Because I think that they don't think that he has possession technically, which is crazy. He still looks like it. But one, and in the process of that other step, because I honestly, how in the NBA they I think they call it traveling is like a very rare call to make. I feel like this is one. I think that they feel like he technically doesn't have his foot's down, but technically he doesn't have possession yet. This is how I think they're viewing this. So now he has possession, and now he's stepping. This other step has to go down to then count as a completed pass. That's what I think they're the people in New York, because I think they had to be the ones that ended up making this call. I think that's the reason why this ends up getting called back. Because watch how and I think what doesn't help their case here, and why I think fans are pissed, right here, he technically has completion, he has a foot down. And like, I've seen this before. Remember, we have these dumbass rules in the NFL. You could have a completed catch, you could have stability, but if you can't tap 2 feet down, you can't tap the same foot down, it's not a catch. But if you get a foot down and a shin down, that on the same leg, it counts as a first down, or it counts as a touchdown or a completed catch. It's a very stupid rule that we need to start getting clarification for. Because I truly think that technically, in their eyes, this was their first catch that was, or the first time it was completed. He needed to complete this step because the ball gets loose before he even steps on the ground. I think that's the only reason why they called this back. And also, props to Joey Porter Jr. But look, the ball really doesn't move until the end. And he kind of pushes it out. But I don't know. So then on 2nd and 10, they end up going for a short play here, which I think is smart. Henry did a really good job of getting this ball and getting a pretty good chunk of yardage. I mean, they could have gotten this and still scored a touchdown here. And then this is where another part of this, the Raider, or this the mess up. This was terrible. Terrible play here. Both edge rushers got to him, and I think he tried to hold this play. Watch Lamar. He looks kind of like, he kind of like jolts forward like he was not ready for Henry to get this ball. Because personally, I think he wanted to try to drag that ball out, and since TJ was going and gonna hit Henry, and same thing with Highsmith, now Lamar could roll out and he could hit Mr. Flowers right here, and he's going to be one-on-one with Joey Porter Jr. That doesn't happen. They get the flag, and this flag is a illegal motion, I think. And then 4th down, he looks to go to Hopkins, but Andrews was there. And honestly, when you look at this play, and like if you freeze it, and I get it, D-Hop is like, what the hell? From this angle, it looks like both corners could have gotten the ball. And I think Joey Porter Jr., I think if he saw that ball was going, I think Joey Porter Jr. would have jumped in the way of the ball to try to bat it down. But who knows? We don't know. They don't show the other view in this video, and I'm not going to go and find it. So now the biggest question is, well, what's going to happen now? Ravens have all 3 timeouts. There's a running play that doesn't get a lot of time now off the clock. It's 2:16 when the next play clock hits. Then another timeout. Now it's 2:11, 3rd down. The Steelers try to throw, which I don't get, because they throw and waste 2 minutes. I don't understand why they don't force the Ravens to either be stupid or for you to make a big time play. Because I think if you ran the ball, you let the 8 seconds go off the clock, so the 2-minute warning goes off. Because then when you punt it away, you're going to take more time. So not only will you add on that 8 seconds, but now you're going to probably take away 4 to 5 seconds added onto that with the kick plus the return. So I think the Steelers should have ran this ball, but at the end of the day, it works out for them because they end up punting. And it's a beautiful, it's a beautiful return. He gets past the 40-yard line, and he sets them up for the perfect field position with 2 minutes basically left on the clock. But there's a hold on the return team that really hurts them because now they go to the 2-minute warning, and now they start all the way back. Now the Ravens, they get this ball. They drop back. There's a hold. Throws incomplete. And Echols knows. And it's a terrible holding call. Hayward basically has him beat, but the ball is loose, but he's getting dragged down. So it's rough. Then it's 1st and 20. He goes short. Now remember this clock, 1:48. And I know why they say this is they think it's a face mask. I honestly, me as an unbiased football fan, I didn't think it was like look at it really? Okay, no, he does have like full hand mask. Wow, that is a bad call, miss. Wow. I think they only called that because he didn't grab it and he just had his hand on it, but I think that's technically then illegal hands to the face. But now you just wasted like 20 seconds. So now it's 2nd and 14. You throw short. 120 when he gets contacted. Now 56 seconds when the ball is snapped. You wasted half of your drive here. And then the Steelers stop them. They are forced to take their final timeout. The Ravens are, because now they have to get a play going. So now they get the 4th down, which is big. Lamar under pressure, he does avoid them. And once again, the Steelers just let a lot of space through. So now they're trying to hurry. They clock it down to make it 2nd down. But now here's the thing. They spike it with 20 seconds left. But now they're about where they would have been if they didn't get penalized all the way back. He throws down the middle, a dagger to Mark Andrews, who got paid recently. And now they spike it again with 16 seconds remaining. 2nd down. Well, now Lamar. finds Andrews for the side of the end zone, the side of the end zone sideline, gets the 3rd and 1, but gets the clock stopped. And the final play of the game, which, by the way, seals why the Steelers should win this game. What is the problem when you look at this picture? And hold on, because I'm going to turn off my camera real quick. What do you guys see here? Okay? What do you see here? Well, you see a DB. You see a DB. So you see Ramsey and Clark, I think, is out there. Then you have these two corners. Eccles. Then you have Patrick Queen, and Peyton Wilson. You have 4 rushers. Highsmith, TJ. I can't see who this is, but I honestly want to say this might be Benton. And then Hayward. Here is the problem that you have here. You have 7 people in the backfield. You have D-Hop. You have Likely, Andrews, Flowers. Cool, right? Because I'm going to be so real, Patrick Queen and Peyton Wilson are probably going to try to be man-on-man with the tight ends, so that way they could be a man-on-man with the receiver, which he can get double-teamed by the safety, plus this safety can get after. So now this is just stupid coverage here, because now you're going to have 2 of these linebackers on at least the 2 biggest pass catchers, and you're going to also have basically 2 receivers, you're going to have both of your receivers double-teamed. But now you're probably asking, well, why don't they have 5 men? Because they decide to put Ali right here. But Ali is not a pass catcher in this play. Watch Ali the entire time. Ali is I think he's a rookie. Ali might be an idiot. And this might just be a bonehead play. Watch this play go right here. Watch Ali the entire play. So Highsmith rushes in. That was not Ben. Number 93 is, I have no clue. TJ comes in and now is getting double teamed and is getting held by both guys. Highsmith beats his guy. Ali, instead of being a chip, because if that's what he was, if he was just a chip guy, well then why didn't Ali chip TJ and he's now all the way rushing here? Because now, here's what I think the Ravens were hoping for here. If Ali gets this ball, I know it's 6 seconds, but if he could just run to the sideline real quick to try to get one last Hail Mary opportunity, what are we doing? But I mean, he has plenty of time. Let's just see what he could have done to chip when he makes first contact with TJ. Right here. And to be honest, it doesn't even look like he needs help. If he just chips him and starts rolling out here this way, 7, 6, 5, 4. That ball would have been thrown already, would have been a chip, and he would have just gone straight to the sideline. And then they would have had one more play for more likely a Hail Mary, right? But that wasn't the case. He ate a sack, and that was it. Steelers win. And that is what we are known to seeing with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and why they win these games. So not only did they win because of the success, because of the success of what the other teams did. Like, they didn't have to the Steelers made maybe a few mistakes, but not many. So now let's talk about the final piece of this puzzle, which I know this video is long. Baltimore is now 6-7. And the Pittsburgh Steelers are 7-6. Here are the final 4 opponents. Pittsburgh has Miami on Monday, Detroit, Cleveland, Baltimore. Baltimore has Cincinnati, who they had a great game against the Bills. They beat them just a week prior. And New England, who is one of the top teams in the AFC. Green Bay, one of the top teams in the NFC. And then Pittsburgh again. Here's how I'm going to give you my realistic standpoint, just on what I believe, and then what I think could eventually happen, like giving the Ravens a little less hope than maybe I should. So let's just go with the Steelers, because I genuinely think the Steelers could be interesting. Miami is a hot team right now, but I still think Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh, that's an 8-6 victory. So now they need one more to stay above 500. Then they go against Detroit. I don't think they're getting that 9th win in Detroit. They're going to go 8-7. They go against Cleveland. They probably win against Cleveland because it's probably the easiest game they have. Now it's a division game, so that means, and it's in Cleveland, which means anything could happen. But who knows, right? So now 9-7 Pittsburgh is. Now they're playing Baltimore for potentially 10-7, right? So let's look at Cincinnati. Let's say they lose to Cincinnati, because I think Cincinnati they have to win every game, and they're going to play every game like they have to win. Now they're 6-8. If they lose one more game, they're done. They beat New England to go 7-8. They lose to Green Bay to go 7-9, and then Pittsburgh ends up probably resting their starters, and then Baltimore goes to, they probably go 8-9 while Pittsburgh goes 9-8. Or they somehow, because I think that comes down to Cleveland. If Cleveland is a for sure a win, then they're gonna give it away, right? Because now, depending on what time of the day, so like what if Pittsburgh plays them in the morning, but then Green Bay it's a later game, Pittsburgh probably wins the AFC North if they see that loss. Now, here's how I honestly think it's going to go, because the Ravens now have to dig in deep. I think the Steelers get 6-7, or sorry, Jesus Christ, 8-6. I think they lose to Detroit, even though Detroit is a hot and cold team lately, right? But I still think they lose to go to 9-7. I still think they beat Cleveland. 8-7. Then they beat them to go 9-7, which then makes Baltimore next. I think they beat Cincinnati. I'm going to give them a W. So now they're 7-7. Now they're just right behind Pittsburgh. New England is a tough one, because I think New England is one game I think they could really win out of them and Green Bay, because it's a home game. So I'm going to give them the win, and they're going to go 7-8. Well, now Green Bay, I'm going to still give them the loss. So now they're 8-8. So now there is a chance where in Pittsburgh, the Steelers cannot rest their starters, and they are going to go to week 18 with one of these teams. Both of these teams are going to end up being 9-8. If Baltimore wins, they're 9-8. If they lose, they are 8-9. Pittsburgh, if they win, they are 10-7. If they lose, they are 9-8. Those are the only two outcomes, right? Well, now you look at it. Well, what happens if they get 9-8? What happens? I honestly don't know. I forget the tiebreaker rules, because if you look at division opponents, because I think after this it goes to how many teams did you beat in your conference. Because in that case, I don't know where that goes, but I know the Ravens struggled. I mean, they lost against the Bills. They've lost against the Texans. So they've lost against a lot of AFC teams. So because both teams would, if they beat Cleveland twice. I think we both would technically beat Cleveland twice, and then we split we split the Cincy games, and then we split Pittsburgh games. So I think it would go to AFC opponents. And then at that point, I think Steelers barely get in. So, yeah. Let me know what you guys think, how that's going to go. I know this was a long video, but I kind of want to do more of these where we break down games. I've kind of wanted to do one where every game, I break down every single one of the Golden Knights games, but I haven't found a system in a way that I like to do it. So, who knows? I'll think about it in the past. Holy crap, it is hot in this room. So I'm going to end this video and go and chill for a minute. So I hope you guys like this video. Let me know what you guys think about this game, because unfortunately it was a good game, just with so many controversial things about it. Like the fumble that didn't end up being a fumble, the touchdown that didn't end up being a touchdown. I felt like there was just a lot of controversial things. I felt like there was a lot of missed calls. It is what it is, right? That's football, and unfortunately you got to play through that adversity. I think the one thing I have to say is if I'm looking at it from a football perspective, saying I'm not a Steelers fan right now, I am telling you guys just from a person that tries to keep it level. I think that at the end of the day, the Ravens still had 2 chances to win this game. When that touchdown got called back, they had multiple plays to get, again, they had a 2nd down, they had a 3rd down, and they had a 4th down. They had 3 chances to get that into the end zone. They ultimately screwed up on all of them. You know, they had a great 2nd down play, a terrible 3rd down play that ended up getting them more backwards, and then a 4th down conversion that went to the wrong man. Then you had the worst 2-minute drill in your life that really affected this game. And so we could talk about, yes, that the Ravens got screwed, but when you're talking about Ravens getting screwed, you should probably also mention that they still had a chance to get a touchdown after the likely the likely callback, and they had an opportunity in the 2-minute drill, but they ended up screwing themselves. That's just from a football fan, not from a Steelers fan. At the end of the day, the Steelers got away with another win, and they're lucky. They're lucky because, honestly, if this went the other way, this was the game that defines the winning seasons, honestly. And I know it's stupid because Steelers fans want Super Bowls, not winning seasons. But literally, I feel like that's just, at this point, that's the goal. This is a must-winning season now for them to make the playoffs, to also make the AFC Championship. So it's like, or sorry, whoa, that's way big. The AFC North title. Because if you win this game, you just need 2 more. And you really just need 2 more wins, and you need 2 more losses for Baltimore to win this division. So that's going to be it for me. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. Let me know if you want more videos like this. I'll try to make them a tad bit shorter. You know, when you try new things, you got to debate them. But let me know what you think. Like this video if you'd like to comment down below. Have a beautiful night or day whenever you guys are watching this video, and I'll see you all later. Peace.